And this is Chuck Grigsby, G80 Worldwide. We are back at it doing the King Project. Thank you so much for giving me another opportunity to share with you guys the King Project for the whole month of October 2017. Today's quote goes just like this: "A riot is the language of the unheard." The reason why I chose this quote is I really was doing some research, and I was just thinking that why not MLK for president? Why not MLK for president? He spoke on healthcare, economic equality, segregation, voters' rights, civil rights, war, education. He was well aware of the big issues. He was well aware of what was going on politically. He was well aware of, and capable of really understanding and being really diverse in being able to kind of come up with solutions when it comes to a lot of the social issues that were going on. And it's not to say that Dr. King wasn't highly educated. He had his doctorate at a very young age, and he was someone that was very charismatic. After his Montgomery bus boycott movement, just in his local church or the local church that he spoke in, 5,000 people showed up. So, having the numbers and having people show up for him and really getting behind him was never an issue. He definitely had respectable numbers in the South. 6 million registered voters, and that wasn't all the voters down in the Deep South that he could really generate and galvanize and get them to the polls, despite the lit test and some of the voter registration issues that were going on in the South. He definitely was in a situation where very knowledgeable to know that there were people who had ran for president of African American descent before. In 1888, Frederick Douglass, 1904, George Edwin Taylor, 1960, Clinton King, and 1964, just 3 years after he gave this speech through this interview about the presidency, Clifton DeBerry was also involved. So Dr. King was definitely someone who was well aware of the potential or the potentiality of being able to run for office and be involved. The year that he was killed, I think it was 4 or 5 candidates that ran for president. I think it was Philip Channing, Dick Gregory, Charlene Mitchell, female, Eldridge Taylor, all ran in the same year that he was assassinated. And he did this interview to really address his political stance and some of his different things that he was involved with as far as how he felt about politics. In a statement in this interview, he was talking really about how important it was that he was the conscience of the political parties and not really involved in a way that would give him any kind of bias, if you will. He was someone who had worked with a couple of presidents in this time period. He was someone that worked with attorney generals. He even sat down with J. Edgar Hoover, the FBI director, at one point in time and really tried to work through some of the issues that he had with him. So his political charisma, his political game was really high level, and I think he really had a lot of stock in the ability to be able to kind of really turn the switch, if you will. And his role about raising issues was really more important to him, based on what he said in this interview, than really getting involved with politics. But when he gave this interview, in 1967, and really addressing this, I believe he was responding to some independent circulation about him running for the 68 president or 68 run for 1968 presidential candidacy, and it was really out of context, if you will, based on what I could tell. Dr. King spoke regularly in public events. He spoke almost regularly up to his death at his church every Sunday. So he definitely had enough opportunity to really address this in a different way. But he chose in a prepared speech to sit down and really address this immediately. I believe as soon as he was able to, when it comes to shooting this down. And I through the interview and through the video that I saw and some of the information that I read, Dr. King was very uncomfortable with this idea. He was very uncomfortable with the whole concept of someone putting him in this position and really him having to explain himself out of this. And I just thought it was really peculiar, And I thought about it and I meditated about it a little bit. And I really believe Dr. King was really fearful of the backlash, not only for the idea of him running for presidency, but really the whole fact of the matter that, all the progress that he made, all the work that he did, all the movements that he was involved with, and all the things that were really at a fragile state at this point in time in 1967, I believe that he was more concerned about the backlash of the thought of it, let alone actually running for presidency. I know for the Southern Leader Christian Conference that he was the president of, from their inception, they decided not to get involved with politics. So way back when he was a young man and he was involved with his group, they weren't involved with politics directly at all. So I just really thought that was peculiar. When you look at the information, when you go back and see some of the different videos and some of the different interviews that he did about that, every time he talks about the potential of getting involved with politics, unusually, I see Dr. King really off center, if you will, and it's very, very rare to see that. And I just thought I'd bring that up to you and bring that out in our discussion today with the King Project and just give a pause for thought. GUD Worldwide, this is Chuck Grigsby, and we're coming back with more of the King Project for the whole month of October. And thank you so much for the opportunity for me to share with you guys a little bit of his legacy and a lot of his great work that he's been doing. Take care, y'all.